Yeah, podcast is starting in just a second. We got a technical issue going on. I'm here, so just hold on for 1 second. And if anyone comes in the chat room, just do the same. Hey, all. So, yep, we are live, and I'm going to be joined shortly by Luke Ravitz again, and he is going to. He's our college guy. I'm tilted here. Why am I tilted? Yep, maybe. I'm tilted the other way now. Hell, there. Yeah, he's gonna join us here shortly to discuss some of the college impact players that have come on, and we're also going to talk about today. We're going to do our first previews of everything else. So we're going to do our first previews today, and Luke's we are live now. Luke, I'm going to let you in. I'm going to bring you into the chat room, and I'm going to bring you into the room. Basically, here we go. Hey,
what's up?
much. Good, excellent. Good to see you again. So we are live right now. This is what we'd call like a pre-show. So before I'll actually have an introduction to the show since you've never done like one of these regular HockeyBuzzcasts. So how it works basically is I will say the date, and like I said, hello Hockey World. It's April 16th. And I'm always bad with dates. Hello Hockey World. It's April 16th, 2025. And then you will just then after I say the date, you say I'm Luke Ravitz.
Okay.
And then I'll say I'm Eklund. You're watching HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. Then there'll be some brief music that plays, and then we'll get right into it.
Sounds great.
That's how it's going to work. So, sorry guys in the chat room, everything free with the delay. YouTube changed the way you can embed live streams, so I have to do it now as a link on my thing. Obviously, it's just YouTube's way of making more money because Google needs a lot more money than I do. So it makes total sense to me that they would do such a thing. Let me just bring up my notes. We'll get started here. All right. It's like, again, is the pre-show. If you're just jumping on and joining, we sometimes the pre-show we talk about anything we want to talk about. Today we're just talking about technical stuff, which is not that much fun. So, but that's okay. I'm moving. Okay, cool. Got this here. Make sure this is working. There we go. All right, cool. I'm gonna get back here. Back. All right. Hello, Hockey World. We're gonna start now. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Hockey World. It is April 16th, 2025.
I'm Luke Ravitz.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. Here we are, and we are going to discuss a lot of things. Luke, as you guys know, was on for the great college preview, and we're going to talk about some college hockey players today that may be making impacts in the NHL, how Luke sees them, because there's a big difference between college hockey and the NHL. See how they'll translate, how those players will translate. And then we're also going to do predictions for today, tomorrow, and Friday with different guests. And I'm going to do different parts of my predictions. I will do my actual predictions, my personal actual predictions on Friday when I put it on my blog, but I will give some interesting stats each day. So here we go. Luke, how have you been?
Good. After a long hockey weekend with Frozen Four going on, we're set in for the NHL playoffs. So I'm excited. It's a good time to be a hockey fan.
Is there any better time? Yeah. I know we texted about this, but the first week, it's kind of like the first 3 or 4 days of March Madness. The first week of the hockey playoffs, the first 2 weeks of hockey playoffs, it's just ridiculous how much fun it is.
It's awesome. Best time. It's best time.
You know what I loved, which they'll never do because it's totally ridiculous unless there's another pandemic. But I loved when I loved when the playoffs went on and the games start. None of the games were at the same time.
Yeah, it's one after another every time.
And you just, for people who work at home, it was amazing for someone who works at home. Like I could just sit there and go through the whole thing, and I could watch every hockey game, because that's the problem. Like with this, there's so many games going on at once, and everyone is intriguing. I mean, some more than others, obviously. So you end up choosing games. But you know what I created? What I built, which is kind of funny. I built this. I went to a thrift shop and I got a really old briefcase, like a really old, like cool old briefcase. So when it opens up like this, inside I glued 8 iPad minis.
Oh. I just watch every game on there.
Yeah, so I can open it up.
Yeah.
And there's a charging thing on the back that goes into it. It charges all of them. So I can just open it up and I can watch every game.
Really smart, actually.
It was so cool. People wanted me to. I had brought it to the press box a couple times, and then sit right in front of me. And it's like, obviously you want to watch the big game on the big TV and stuff like that when you're home. But I always have the iPad minis open up over here, just to.
Nowadays, just have YouTube TV. You can just do the.
They're doing the 4 thing now, right? They're doing the
games at once.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so let's start with some college hockey players. And Alex, we're going to start with, because we have a lot of Philly fans. I want to start with Alex Bump. And he was a player who actually, won the national championship. And the opinion of but he was drafted in the 5th round, which is something that he has like a major chip on his shoulder about.
I mean, I've always known him when we drafted him out of
Yeah.
Minnesota, I knew he was gonna be a good player, but he really played well and shined at Western Michigan his 2 years there.
Yeah.
And after watching him play in the Frozen Four and in the playoffs, like you just notice him when he's on the ice. He's always making plays. He's always getting shots on net.
Yeah.
He had most shots in college hockey this past year. So
Yeah.
for Flyers fans, like I'm super excited
Yeah.
for him to join the team next year. He'll be a really good addition to our offense.
Yeah.
I mean, the Flyers, we need more goals. So
That's the big thing, right? Like this Flyers team, and there's a couple teams in the playoffs that I'm going to mention this about too. This Flyers team just kind of lacks snipers. I mean, Mitchkov is a sniper, obviously. Forster's
one of the worst power plays in the NHL.
the worst power play. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see a new coach on the power play next year as well. Of course, because whoever comes in will bring their coach in. But yeah, a lot of people wanted the coach of the power play gone this year. I mean, it's just kind of crazy when you're 32nd in the league. Like, there's someone asked me, "Are you sure he's going to be gone?" I'm like, "Yeah, anybody who's 32nd in the league is going to be gone."
Yeah, I have to.
Right, exactly. Now, the opinion on Bump among the scouts that I know, and among like Russ Cohen, who's like a great is a guy I go to for like draft prospects and stuff like that. He's not high on Alex Bump at the NHL level. Like, he thinks that he's a great college player, will be a really good to great AHL player, but he doesn't know if he can fit into the pro level. I just think that that's kind of wrong.
I agree, yeah.
You agree with that?
I agree 100%. Yeah, maybe he'll have a few games to start the year in the AHL just to get used to that professional level of hockey. But I mean, we'll see. You never know with these kind of players. Like, his potential is through the roof, and I mean, it all depends on how training camp and development camp go. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I expect to be in the lineup next year and have a pretty good impact on the team.
I would think so. I mean, when I watched this play, he's like a better shooting Konechny to a degree. Like, that's what he looked like to me. Like, obviously Konechny is not a sniper at all, but will score.
He just finds ways to score. So
yeah,
I mean, and also, like, I feel like the Flyers are always like pretty good at finding like the dirty areas in front of the net. So I mean, as long as we get shots on net, like, we're gonna score. We're gonna find ways to score more.
Yeah.
So
there's a possibility too that's kind of bizarre out there that Western Michigan coach could end up in Philly too. That's another. If that happens, then Bump is going to play.
Yeah, he really built that Western Michigan team up. I mean, I felt like for the past 10 years they were getting better every year. I mean, this year they won the regular season NCHC. They won the playoff NCHC, and they won the national championship. So, I mean, they were just due for a huge year. And, they're going to be able to recruit now a lot of players. Their fans are awesome. I've seen a couple of games of their arena, and it looks packed.
And they travel well. They were all, I mean, they had 3/4 of the audience at the final game.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the future for Western Michigan is definitely bright.
Well, it's funny, Keith Jones went there.
Who did?
And Keith Jones of the Flyers went there. Yeah. So he's been bragging to everybody in the press box and all over the place. Anybody who's willing to talk to him about the win, because it's a big deal for a guy. He was one of the players, kind of one of the players who started with that program as they were and got that program on the map. Because they've had other NHL players for sure, but Jonesy is like president of the team, and that's another reason I wonder about the Western Michigan connection for coaching, because he obviously would know they would obviously know each other.
I think that'd be great for the Flyers.
Yeah, that's a possibility. We talked about David Carl too as a possibility. So there's a bunch of things, and some NHL coaches too. And also my theory on coaches in the NHL, and this is weird and going to sound stupid, but it's kind of silly. It's completely silly. The less hair they have, the better they are.
All right, I can definitely see where you're coming from for sure.
It's the funniest things for bald coaches are like. They're taking over the league, and Peter Laviolette, who's got a great head of hair, is going to be fired. So there you go. You have it.
That's actually fun. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's just stupid. So anyway, all right. So I think Bump's going to be okay. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I like this like thing that's basically. I mean, it's been going on forever. Pavel Bure was the first person I saw do this, but it's really taken over with like young players now. and I'm sure you playing recently as well. You were doing this too. Is the move where you have your stick out, you're about to shoot, you have your stick out, and you bring it in and shoot.
Oh, just like the toe drag release.
The toe drag release is called, right?
Yeah, I think Austin Matthews was kind of the one that really started that kind of shot, and then you had players like Bedard, obviously, and like it just you do it really quick so the goalie doesn't really expect, and you use the defenseman as a screen.
Yeah,
and you usually go like far side.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a technique now that a lot of shooters especially are using.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been working. It's a great way.
As a goalie, I was a goalie, right? So as a goalie, the hardest thing to do is change your angle as a player's skating.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep moving to change, to be on the right angle, right? So the guys that stick out like this, you're not playing the angle on the body, you're playing the angle on the puck. So brings the puck in, that changes the angle immediately.
Also, a lot of the times now when players are doing that, they'll see that they'll have a winger coming in driving the net.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times the defenseman will put their stick out to try to deflect it or poke it, and as we slide it through their stick, and then the other guy just has a breakaway going in. So you can do a lot of things with it. So
it makes sense. I didn't know it was called the toe drag release. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But all right, so let's move on to Ryan Leonard in Washington. Like he's there, obviously. He's played a lot of games so far. What are your thoughts on him as an NHL player?
I mean, we saw the other day against the Blue Jackets, he kind of had his first welcome to NHL moment.
Yeah.
Fantilli just destroyed him, and then he went down to score, and then he had to fight where he got destroyed. But I mean, he's going to be a special player, and I mean, he's already fit in with this Caps team. I mean, he's been able to see Ovi's record-breaking goal and just to be a part of this team. I think we talked about it before. Like this team has a great locker room like vibe connection going on, which definitely helps in the playoffs.
Yeah,
because when the whole team is bonding well together, like you're to play well together, especially for that long of a span of games in a row. So I think Leonard's gonna be a huge piece in this lineup. I mean, we saw this. I don't know when Tyler Seguin was a rookie.
Yeah,
he played with the Bruins, and I mean, he played well right away. And Leonard's one of those players that's going to play well right away. He was a Hobey Baker finalist.
Yeah,
had 30 goals this year, 19 assists, so like almost 50 points.
Yeah,
he's a powerful skater. Can use his body well, make plays. So I mean, he does everything that you want as a coach. So
he works really hard, obviously. Yeah.
Right now, he's filled in at the third line wing spot with Eller and Mangiapane. We'll see. I think that's probably a good fit for him in the playoffs, and then next year he'll definitely move up.
I'm a huge I'm a huge Mangiapane fan.
I think he's been great this year too. So
yeah,
and then Eller obviously has that veteran experience.
I
mean, he's in a really, really good situation right now in Washington.
I agree.
Because, I mean, beginning of the year, I thought that the Caps wouldn't even make the playoffs. It would be below average team, and he would get like 3 or 4 games after the college season. But, I mean, he gets some extra hockey, and hopefully he can win a cup. So,
it's something. I mean,
it's special.
Not to brag, but I think I'm the only person who predicted the Caps to win the division, which is pretty crazy.
That's crazy. I thought them and the Rangers were just flip flops. So
I mean, I went with the Caps because of this. I knew Ovechkin's year was going to be special because he was going for the thing, right? And I knew that would make the Caps be kind of on all the time, and make Ovechkin, when he's on a mission, is on a mission. And I felt like he would break it this year, but in order to do that, he'd have to score like 40 goals. So if he scores 40 goals, that's a difference on the Capitals, I thought. And then
he broke his leg too earlier. So
and he would have had 50 probably.
Yeah.
The other situation with that is pretty cool. Is that you have I love Mangiapane. Like I said, when he was in Calgary, he got far too little playing time, and he actually led the league.
He's very underrated.
He actually led the league in points per minute 2 years ago. And I talking to Team Canada about their choices for the Olympics coming up. 2 years ago, I just did an early preview of the Olympics. Mangiapane is on their radar, which I thought not many people would think. For
he's
Canada.
definitely like a good 3rd, 4th line for that team. type of player.
Yeah. He
He's
kills
everywhere.
penalties, super fast.
Yeah.
But the thing Ryan Leonard's gonna have to worry about is what I call like the Eric Lindros syndrome, which is this: that he's going to get in fights and he's going to get hit because
he's a
stirs
target.
He
Yeah,
stirs up stuff.
That's a part of his game. He kind of brings that. He doesn't really play like Kachuk. They're very different, but he like the same mentality. I feel like he definitely brings.
Yeah, and he's going to stir up stuff, and he's going to cause. He's going to make teams hate him really quickly, and because he's young, teams are going to try to put him in his place, and that's going to be something you have to watch out for, like concussions and stuff like that, and all different sorts of things that can happen as a result of that. That's what I worry about with him. He's got to learn like Lindros. Took Lindros a few years to learn to pick his battles and not just hit everything that moves, and it's exciting to watch a guy hit everything that moves, but the other thing he has to stop doing is diving. Like he's a bit of a diver, which
I think he just wants to, I guess, create the penalties.
Sure.
That's just a part of his game, but I also feel like obviously as time goes on, he has the veteran group around with Ovi, Carlson, just to get his game in the right place. And do whatever. I think he knows what it takes to put his team in the position to win games. So that's not really an issue. It's more of like the little things.
Yeah, no, I think it's more for me. It's more of like I kind of like look at it from the player level. Like you played against guys who I'm sure, and I played against guys who are like jerks on the ice, and they're all over the place. And then if they dive as well, like that's a bad combination. If you're gonna like hit people and punch people out, and and now you're pretending like to try to take like you. That's
so
like
you
that's
can't even
code of ethics, right?
Yeah, I mean when I played like. It was just when you played players like that, you can't even if they were really good, you couldn't even like respect them because they were just I don't even know. Like
that's the thing with this total respect thing, and it runs through the league, and it's going to cause him to get hurt because people are going to get more and more angry at him, and they're going to be ready for him. And the first time around is one thing. This year, not a big deal because he's going to the playoffs and everything like that. But next year, when he goes around the league a couple times and plays teams a couple times. You can see him like being like a public enemy one in Philadelphia eventually. Like that's kind of something.
Yeah. I mean, Gauthier has already got that one.
He's got that now for sure.
Yeah,
he's something. So before we get into the predictions, I wanted to ask you a question that I've always been curious about, and I know people who've done both college hockey versus junior hockey.
Oh yeah, I knew you were going to bring this up. Yeah, it's been talked about recently with all the news going on. It's just I feel like it's gonna be good, but not for the lower tier junior leagues in America. The USHL will take like a little beating. It shouldn't be too bad because they have the NTDP and other teams that are really good with good history. Leagues like the NAL, NCDC, just all those kind of smaller junior leagues are definitely going to take a hit.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, now any player can come to college hockey.
Yeah.
And you're going to start seeing a lot of top Canadian prospects play a couple years in CHL and then either their after their draft year, they'll head to college. I mean, then why not? You're getting a good college education. You get to you get to live the American college life.
Which you're a star. You're walking around the campus. You're a star.
And college hockey is just great development. It's known for its development. It's not like the OHL. You're not playing as many games. So I mean, I've heard rumors about Michael Misa, the top prospects going to the NCAA.
Yeah.
Some rumors about Gavin McKenna, the top prospect in the 2026 draft.
Right.
So it's gonna be weird. I don't believe they can get NIL money because they're international. I need the Canadian.
Is that true? You can't. You get Canadian. You have to be American.
You have to be American to receive NIL.
I didn't know that at all.
I'm pretty sure that's a rule. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, we'll look it up. But it makes sense that it would be a rule, but I'm not sure. I just didn't know that the NIL money is definitely a difference maker for college hockey.
I mean, as a fan of hockey, I think it's gonna be cool. Let's just be able to see the overviews of everything. But if I was a player that's looking to play Division I hockey, I'd be a little concerned. It's just more competitive now. It was already competitive to begin with. There's only like 64 D1 teams. So it's just gonna be tough now. We're not gonna see the gritty as many gritty players. I feel like
Yeah,
it's
I agree with you. Like, what about
so
the major juniors in Canada, like versus the NCAA? That's another big thing.
I mean, I'm just a little biased. I like
Yeah,
college
sure.
better because I
Yeah,
go to college.
yeah,
And also it's just like I feel like the game of hockey will grow with college hockey
it
more
really will in the
than
US, and it doesn't have to
NHL
grow in Canada.
because it's already there in Canada, and
Yeah,
like
yeah, totally.
I feel like college hockey is rising a lot, but
Mhm.
I feel like with this new rule, it's definitely going to help just to get the top players um, playing in the NCAA, and
Yeah,
we'll see better tournaments, better Frozen Fours.
I agree.
The only issue is it's just going to create super teams, just like college
Yeah,
football. I feel like,
yeah, because there's
I
no
mean,
salary
like,
cap.
especially the Big Ten schools,
Oh,
like
yeah,
Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, who have the football money to give out.
right.
It may be a little tough for the smaller schools to compete.
Yeah, that's true. That's a
So,
good point.
we'll see. I mean, it's hockey though, so it's not like basketball or
Yeah,
football.
but it's still like it still
But
definitely is.
still, I mean, we've already seen. I mean, especially with the transfer portal
Yeah,
rules,
yeah,
we've seen two or three players from North Dakota already decommit and commit somewhere else.
right.
I mean, it's a completely different like landscape compared to a
Oh,
few years
totally.
ago already. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with
And totally, I
everything.
think that the transfer pool is something that like old timers like me don't necessarily love because I kind of like the idea of a guy like starting and finishing his career in college. But I get it as a player if you're not like getting time or if you're not getting like the right opportunity. It's a
Mhm.
wonderful thing, like you get to
Yeah,
go to someplace else.
someone in the comment section, I actually saw this. Henry Muse, he was,
Mhm.
um, I believe the WHL. He just
Okay.
committed to Michigan I think yesterday or a couple of days ago. So that was pretty big news in the
Yeah.
CHL NCAA talks. So we're
Yeah.
starting to see the players come from the CHL
I, and
transfer.
I for one have another thing that I always wanted to happen that has not happened yet. But I think should happen. Or it would be a good thing for hockey in general. And it'd be a great thing, like in competitiveness between Canada and the U.S., is to have the NCAA champion play the champion of junior hockey in Canada. Like,
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I mean, they already do that in Canada with the Memorial Cup with
yeah,
all
the
three.
Memorial Cup. So you take a Memorial
I
Cup
think
versus the
that'd be
NCAA
really
champion.
cool to see.
Yeah,
Really
I think it'd be
cool.
great.
I don't know if they would let it happen now. The
Yeah,
NCAA.
there's not great blood between the two of them. I mean, it's not like and also like the NHL has its own issues with the whole thing because
Yeah.
they really cater to the junior world, right? Like
Mhm.
you can't like a guy like Lachenko this year for the Flyers, you can't send him to the AHL. You got to send him back to juniors.
Mhm.
But I've noticed that college players when they come in, it used to be that they were better third and fourth liners because they just had more practice with and more stuff behind them. Because there's way more practices in college hockey than there is in juniors in Canada. And you had the superstars coming out of Canada and the third and fourth liners coming out of college. But now you have, it's definitely you have superstars coming out of college, and
Yeah,
and the ones that come out of college are making a bigger impact than the ones that come out of juniors that are the same age.
I agree. I
Which is
just the game of college has definitely grown. Oh, I don't know. It's hard. They're both big in their own respects, but um, I think the rise of college hockey, especially with NIL and everything, is next 5 years to be really big. I
yeah,
think I've always talked about this with my friends and family. I think that like SEC schools should get Division I teams. I think.
yeah,
I mean, they have club teams there, and they pack the arenas with all the club teams.
yeah.
And I think it would be a huge moneymaker for college hockey. Just the
There are people out there trying to do that. Like Matthew Schneider, who used to play in the NHL.
mm,
I met him. It's funny enough, oddly enough, his daughter and my daughter in the same sorority at Lehigh. We're in the same sorority at Lehigh. So I
mm,
met him at one of these family gathering type things, Matthew Schneider, and I, covered him before. And one of the things he's trying to do is he's like basically an ambassador to get hockey into the South more,
yeah,
for colleges, especially Florida, where huge big schools with
yeah.
big college money.
All these schools have so much money with
Yeah,
football.
and you've got, and Florida's been a dominant NHL hockey
Yeah,
state
they
for
have a
like
good.
for like
I have a
decades.
buddy that's on their club team, and they've been very good. So I
Yeah.
mean, like all these club teams are really good, and like they pack the ranks. They have the money to do it, and to grow the game, especially like no one really knows about hockey in those SEC areas that well.
Yeah,
So
but they are now, like Tampa and Florida.
and they love it. I feel like they love it too. So
yeah,
I
and
think
Panthers
that
and Lightning are changing everything down there too. Like that's like the fact that they've been for a decade now, like the two of the best teams in the league. It's
exactly
really something. Like the last ever Stanley Cup was run through Florida.
ASU was created not too long ago, and look at that. They just built a brand new arena. They're getting a lot of top prospects.
Yeah.
So
well, here's the thing about that. Like if you're, I know Russians, for example, like if you're a Russian guy who wants to come over and play in college in the U.S., Russian players love good weather. It's the funniest thing. I know,
better than that, like great weather, like cool school.
Like the beach is there. Like there's a lot of things about that.
Yeah.
And I remember like the Florida Panthers have had no trouble getting Russian players to go there because it's South Beach. It's like, it's West Palm Beach. It's all these things that, why wouldn't they want to go there? And it's a great campus with a really great sports tradition, not hockey tradition, but a great sports tradition.
Yeah.
And that's something else. So I agree, guys. Good stuff. All right, so let's go on to the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are now set after last night, except for one.
One tonight we're waiting on.
Except for one tonight. We'll talk about that too. But I'm kind of. It's kind of amazing when it comes. For me, it's just amazing when it comes down to this. Like it comes down to one game or even 2 or 3 games because you know how hockey is. It's like it's bounces, it's pucks off a post. It's like all these things that happen. All these games you should have won that you didn't win. The games you should have lost that you won.
And the Flyers
to like 1 point.
Last year with it was like 8 teams, 5 teams in the East all battling for that last spot, and each team needed something to happen. I think the Caps ended up getting that last spot.
Yeah, and the Red Wings got screwed by the Flyers. Remember that, because the Flyers pulled their goalie.
Because the Red Wings were like making Ghost made like 2 like that unreal catch.
Oh yeah.
And then I think the Flyers like screwed them over anyway, so it didn't matter.
Flyers screwed them over by somehow
right.
It was a goal differential thing actually.
Right.
Yeah, they pulled their goalie. The Flyers pulled their goalie in the game, which is like what you would do, and the goal differential. Cap scored in an empty net and get the
playoffs. Yeah. So I mean, these last few games are interesting to say the least.
Oh yeah, they're very interesting. Montreal, Columbus. We'll talk about that first, and then we'll get into the whole thing. So Montreal, Columbus for me is a fascinating thing because both these teams are great stories. Both would be great if both were in the playoffs, but they're not. I mean, Columbus with what went on there, crazy, and Montreal is always fun to have in the playoffs. They just feel like they should be in the playoffs all the time. I grew up in Montreal; was completely dominant. So, but yet, here they are, and these are 2 teams that played above their, they punched above their level basically throughout the year. They exceeded expectations of their fan bases. No one predicted any of them to be in the playoffs, and here they are now. Suddenly, like that role's reversed. Like suddenly now, the Montreal fans expect them to be in the playoffs. So this team is young. So if they don't win, they don't get a point tonight. Huge disappointment all of a sudden,
I mean, so they play.
They play Carolina.
They play Carolina tonight, and Carolina's sitting, I think, 5 or 6 of their top guys.
Yeah, they're sitting a bunch of guys.
Yeah, so I mean, this should be a free win, but I mean, you can't really go into the game thinking like that's just another game,
right?
Period at a time.
And for those Carolina players, they get a chance to knock Montreal out of the playoffs. That's how they're looking at it.
The good thing is, though, for the Canadians, like they control their own destiny right now.
They do.
Now, if I were the Blue Jackets, it's like I've been in these type of games where you need something to happen.
Yeah,
you really can't like think about all the other stuff. I mean, first off, you have to win the game in regulation first. So I mean, doing the little things every single shift and just scoring, and then worry about all the other stuff after the game, I guess.
Yeah.
The first thing you have to win the game first before worrying about.
Right, you got to win the game. Last night, Calgary wins that game. Like amazing, win last night.
And it
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's really just it's disappointing, because I was pulling for Calgary with some of the Flyers players on there and stuff like that to see if they could get in. But to me, there's also like the playoffs and the NHL. It really is a matter of being relaxed or not being relaxed. Like Chicago beats them the other night. Chicago is not a good team.
Yeah.
Montreal got lucky to get a point out of that game.
They did. Yeah.
That was a fun game to watch, though.
Montreal is gonna go to the playoffs, and the hype is gonna be around the Caps Canadiens electric series, and I'm excited to see what Ivan Demidov.
Oh my gosh,
he's very fun to watch.
Oh, he's incredible to watch, and I think there's definitely that goal. Did you see the goal that wasn't a goal thing?
He saw the puck the whole way.
Yeah,
just caught off the boards, got him. And I think the assist was honestly even better, to be honest.
I do too. It reminds me of Yager. He reminds me of Jaromir Yager in a lot of ways. Like he's got that wide stance when he skates, and it enables him to have more space with the puck, and people can't get into it.
I don't know if you saw this though on one of the Blackhawks goals. I believe Hudson passed it to Demidov, shot it, got his shot blocked. The Caps went on an odd man rush,
right?
And Demidov that's the guy that went on the breakaway. Supposed to be his guy, coasting back, and they score. So that's just one of the things that you have to fix. Yeah. Obviously, it's not going to slide in the playoffs.
It's not going to fly.
I mean, it was his first game. He had a goal and assist in his first game. So, I mean, overall,
awesome. But here's a kid who's done. This is the most fun game you're ever going to play. Like he's like in a situation where there's nothing. I mean, there's tons expected of him, but at the same time, it's his first game in the NHL. So if he doesn't score, but he still rises to the moment.
He's also played 65 games in the KHL this year, so including playoffs. He's had a busy year, and still more games to come for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing the young Canadian team. When was their last time? The bubble was their last time in the playoffs, I believe.
They went to the Stanley Cup final, right? That one year.
Yeah.
I think it was a bubble. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I know it was around then.
Bubble was Lightning Stars in the final. So they were in the
year after.
The following year, they lost to the Canadiens.
Right.
In the finals. So after the bubble.
Right.
So I'm excited to see the Montreal crowd back in action. They have really passionate families. But then, I mean, you have the Caps who have been dominant all year. So it's going to be a tough series for them. Yeah. I think it'll be a 5 or 6 game series. Caps will win it.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I like that. But, I mean, I think it's what's really interesting about the series is that people are everywhere you talk, people are like saying, I'm not afraid to play the Capitals. It's weird. It's just weird thing about that. Like, I don't know.
In the playoffs, they're very, very dangerous. I mean, their power play.
I mean, the only thing they have that they don't have necessarily the up and down speed through the lineup that some teams have. They're a little bit older in some places, but they've changed that with some of the young players. I mean,
McMichael has been a key piece for them this year. Very underrated player. Dylan Strome, who had a hat trick last night, he's been great this year. Pierre-Luc Dubois has been having a way better season.
Yeah, he's a real bounce back.
And then I believe I saw in the comments someone mentioned something about Boyd signing a contract with them, extension. Yeah, so they have a lot of key pieces. And on D, they have Chikrin now.
You're also adding Cole Hudson. You're adding Cole Hudson to the Capitals.
I don't think they're going to sign him.
You don't think they're going to sign him?
We'll probably see him again.
Yeah, I mean, it's very likely that. I mean, if they haven't by now, they're not going to.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it wouldn't make sense really.
Yeah,
I think it's a little too late. Maybe if they got eliminated earlier.
Because you're blowing an entry level contract here, right?
He's still so young. Like I'm sure he wants to play in the World Juniors next year. He's still eligible for another year.
Yeah. And imagine if he comes on as a free, if he goes through the whole thing and becomes a free agent. You know what I mean? That's like his value will be so high.
Yeah,
it'll be insane.
So he's gonna be definitely the top prospect to come out next year once his year's done.
Yeah, for sure.
Another year definitely can hurt him.
Another stupid thing I do, which I'm going to do today, as part of my predictions, is I pitch the mascots against each other. We have to argue this. So, all right. So the Washington Capitals, we're going to say like a bunch of people in Washington, you know, they're basically senators and presidents and stuff like that, versus the Montreal Canadiens, which is just you know, a name for a country's people. Yeah. So to me, there's not a lot of great things going on between the people in Washington and the Canadians right now, in general. So there's going to be a big bloodbath there.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, Washington will win out because they're more powerful, maybe, which is terrible for Canada.
Just more experience, and I think experience in playoffs is so important, especially when you have the veteran presence, and then you also have the younger guys. I mean, that's exactly what you want on your team.
Yeah,
it's just going to help you in the future as well. So
it really is. So let's go from there. We'll go to Carolina, New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Two fast teams.
Yeah. I don't think. I think that Carolina will win the series, but it's not going to be like a convincing type series win. They haven't really had a strong second half of the year.
Yeah, I haven't.
But they are third in goals per game, and they are second in shots on goal per game. So, I mean, I'm expecting a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And the Devils are missing their best player, Jack Hughes.
Yeah, for sure.
Siegenthaler is out, and Dougie Hamilton is possibly coming back.
I think he's probable. I talk to people in New Jersey. I think he's probable.
I mean, you're still coming back hurt. You haven't played in a while. You may feel a little rusty coming back from injury. So I think Carolina should win this one in 5 or 6 as well.
Right.
But it's just hard because the Hurricanes just haven't been that good.
And you know what? Another thing that always wins playoffs are like power plays and goaltending.
Yeah.
Goaltending you give to New Jersey. Like I think
Markstrom's been way better.
Yeah.
Anderson and with Talbot.
Yeah.
Backup, they've been okay.
Yeah.
Nothing impressive. So I mean, if Carolina wants to win this, I mean, their top players like Aho, Svechnikov, they just have to step up. They really
they have it. They have it in the playoffs before. That's the thing.
I agree. So
who are you going with? You're going with Carolina in 6
or 7? Carolina in 5. No, in
5. Okay, there we go.
I'll go in 6. Carolina in 6.
There you go. It's good to save yourself a little bit there. Yeah. The mascots of this team, one is a form of weather, the other is a cryptid.
Yeah.
So essentially,
I like the devil mascot. I think he's cool.
Yeah, and the Jersey Devil is something I grew up with, which I love. I don't think that a hurricane would affect being like a Jersey Devil, so I'm going to say the Devils would have the better mascot in this one.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so then moving on to let's go to the Atlantic, where we have a really good one, Toronto and Ottawa.
Yeah, this is a great series. So the Maple Leafs obviously have the more experience in the past 5 years. I really could see this series going 6 or 7 games. The Senators have been extremely hot lately, probably one of the hottest in the league. They have the veteran presence in Giroux, Kachuk.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. The goaltending and defense definitely could be an issue for the Leafs.
Yeah.
They have Joseph Woll and
what's his name? Stoll.
Stolarz, Anthony Stolarz.
Yeah.
So, and he's been probably a better goalie this year. I think Woll was hurt for a little bit.
I think Stolarz is the better goalie. Yeah. I've always actually liked Anthony Stolarz, and I think he hasn't gotten a
Flyers legend.
He's a Flyers guy. I met him. He was a really super guy. And also, like in other places he's gone as a backup, he's had incredible numbers. Like in Florida, he was great for them last year.
He was decent.
Yeah.
So I think the Leafs defense is always like something where everyone's talking about. They never really have. I mean, they have Morgan Riley, but they never really have that key defenseman that they need. But obviously, the offensive power is there. So I think this is going to be a very high-scoring series.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to go far. I'm going to take the Leafs. Leafs in 7.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really, really hard-fought series. You got the young talent on Senators with Stützle.
Cousins, they both Cousins are back. Yeah.
So they have a lot of good guys. Shabbat, Sanderson on D. It's gonna be a great series. I'm looking
It's
forward.
It's gonna be a hell of a stressful series for the Toronto Maple Leaf fans. Like that's the one thing you can say.
Do you know who I think is gonna be the biggest key player on the Maple Leafs if they want to make it far? Matthew Knies. I think
totally agree with you.
He's been very, very good since. I mean, I would compare him to the Ryan Leonard situation. After he was done college, he went with the Leafs, played the playoffs, scored a few goals, played really good. I just think that he is really a complete player that the Leafs kind of rely on a lot this year. If you don't think, like, the more you think about it.
Oh, they really do.
So consistent with everything in his game. He scores, play makes, very smooth skater, physical.
And he seems to be above all the ghosts of the past type stuff that the Leafs have. Like, he doesn't seem to have that going on in his head.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the player I think is upside potential, honestly, who he reminds me of so much is Braden Point.
Yeah, I agree. Just a bigger version of him.
Yeah, bigger version of him, but like that they can do everything. You don't necessarily see him like he's not like gonna blow your mind, but he's just so good at everything.
Complete, very complete.
You know, and do that kind of stuff. So so the mascots in this situation are foliage on one side, and then on the other side you have the Canadian state government. So I'm gonna go with, I think the government's more powerful than the foliage because they control the climate issues. So and in Canada they do a pretty good job at it, but you know I'm still gonna say that this is the Senators' better mascot here. For this win. Okay, so then Tampa and Florida. This is like the classic. This is like
classic battle, Florida.
They've played so much in the playoffs lately.
Exactly. It feels like every year they're playing each other. Yeah. But there's too much skill for an experience for the Tampa Bay team. They don't have the defensive talent they used to. They still have Hedman, McDonough, Mosier's been pretty good this year, but it's just not. They don't have Sergachev. It just seems like they don't have that same like scary defensive team. But I mean, they had really good pickups in the offseason, like Gensel. They got Yanni Gord, Borkstrand.
Yep.
So their offensive talent is still through the roof. They're still going to put up goals against them. But I mean, this is Panthers hockey. They thrive in the playoffs. I mean, and they still have. I think they're the favorites right now to win up. According to
they are, and it's because, you know, like they've been resting guys too. They've been able to rest guys too. They didn't care about the home ice advantage. They just rested guys, which is also impressive.
They're the favorites at plus 650. So
there you go.
Which is interesting because a lot of their key players are going to be out.
Like they're not going to be out in the playoffs though. Apparently, like a lot of them are going to be back.
You think Kachuk is going to be back?
He's going to be back. Yeah.
But still, like I said before, though, it's just hard when you're hurt and you miss most of the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Come back into the playoffs, and it's because playoffs are just such a different style of hockey.
Yeah, they're such a different. But you know, this is Kachuk. He played in the playoffs already this year.
This is the hockey he likes playing. So hopefully, it doesn't make a huge difference for them. I mean, Ekblad was suspended for 20 games. He should be back after game 2.
Yeah, after game 2, I think it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with. I don't know. This is really tricky because
this is super hard.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay just because the value.
Yeah.
If you want to bet, the value is really there, plus 1,200.
That 650 is a big dump. It's 12. It's 1,200.
1,200 for the Lightning to win the cup. But this series.
That's actually a pretty damn good bet.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at the series. So Tampa's minus 102 and Florida's minus 118. So it's kind of a pick 'em.
It is a pick 'em.
That's why it's really hard to pick. I'm gonna go with Tampa. Their offense is just way too powerful. And
how bizarre is that they're like a pick 'em, and yet Florida's the favorite to win the cup, and Tampa's.
It's weird, right? Exactly. So I mean, that's something you just have to look into.
Yeah.
When you pick a team.
Yeah.
So I think the Lightning are gonna win 5. I'm gonna go.
Okay, 5. Wow.
The Panthers just haven't been a complete team the whole year. They've been dealing with a lot of things, especially with Barkov was hurt for a little bit too. Yeah. And I mean, they won the cup last year, so I don't know if they're gonna have that same urgency. And
no, that's fair. I mean, and they played a lot of games over the last 2 seasons. I mean, it was the cup final year before that.
I agree. So yeah, I'm definitely Lightning in 5 is my official pick.
Lightning in 5. That is a controversial pick, but I write it down for you because that'll be at the end of the day. We'll find out. All the writers will have their predictions, and we'll see who does best here. This is the goaltending battle, and this is amazing. Vasilevsky versus Bobrovsky.
Yeah. I think Vasilevsky's been great this year.
Yeah,
still playing in his top tier game.
But Bob rises to the moment.
Has been good. Like I said, defense wins you games.
Yeah,
and I mean, they have the philosophy of Gudas, who's been.
Gudas isn't there anymore. He's not there anymore.
Oh, right? He's in the Bucks now. He's not even on the Panthers. What am I saying?
Yeah. And that was a big loss for them, honestly.
Yeah. So I think
they lost Montour last year too. They've lost defensive players.
Yeah, exactly. So stick with my gut. I don't really care what anyone thinks. I'm going with the Lightning.
All right, I like it. You don't have to care what anybody thinks. You're on the internet.
Yeah.
All right, so the mascots in this one again is a weather force, and the other is an endangered species in the Florida southern Everglades. Obviously, cats know how to get out of the way of lightning. That's not like a big problem for them, I wouldn't think. So I'm going to say Florida's got Florida would be able to beat out a lightning storm. Like a panther cat would be able to beat a lightning storm. Yeah. So there you go.
So, yeah,
it's pretty close. It's definitely a different way to look at it. All right, so now going over to the other side, starting with Winnipeg and St. Louis.
Yeah, so obviously Jets recently just won the President's Trophy.
Yeah,
which I mean, if you're a hockey fan, it's a great accomplishment to have, but at the same time, if you're a fan, it's not, just because of the curse that's been going last 15, 20 years. The Jets are a great team. They've been great all year. Ehlers was just announced. He's hurt, banged up a little bit. So we'll see what's happening with him. And the Blues are the hottest team in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
They've been super hot. They have a bunch of young talent. We haven't talked about it. We didn't talk about him earlier, but Jimmy Snuggerud. He was playing this past year. He was the captain of Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's been leading their team past 3 years. He was a freshman playing on the starting line with Logan Cooley and Matthew Nye. So been playing with top talent for a while now. He played in the NTDP. Yeah. He scored his first goal last night. They have Dylan Holloway, who's been great this year.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Neighbors, who's been very underrated.
Yeah, he really came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Robert Thomas.
Yeah, I like Robert Thomas a lot. They gave Robert Thomas big money too, so that's something they got him.
So I'm gonna go with the Blues.
Yeah, wow.
Blues and 6.
This is a funny thing because that's a bold call because Winnipeg, because like I always say, like in the playoffs, power plays and goaltending are the two best things, and Winnipeg has the best of each of those.
I agree. They were very, very, very good team this year.
Yeah,
but playoffs are different.
They are.
From my experience of watching playoff hockey, the Jets seem to turn off the gas at some points.
Yeah, they do.
The Blues have been there. I mean, obviously it's not the same team, but they have their captain Braden Shen, who I love personally as a Flyers fan, and the Blues have been hot. So I'm going with the Blues in 6.
There we go. And this is the battle of goalies for goalies. This is the rematch of the Four Nations final. Because you have, Hellebuck on one side and the Blues goalie on the other side, who, what's his name? I remember his name so bad.
Hellebuck?
No, Hellebuck, and then the Blues goalie is
Jordan Binnington.
There we go. I knew he played for the Binnington played for Canada.
Yeah.
Hellebuck played for the US. Now they're switching. They're each playing for different countries, but they're playing. But they're it's the same battle.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I'll say though that like when Binnington, like we saw in the Four Nations, like we've seen in the 2019 playoffs, when Binnington is hot, he is a very hard goalie to score on. And Hellebuck tends to let up a little bit in the playoffs. He
does, and he gets nervous. I mean, I think that it would have been. We're really hoping for him and Four Nations to win that because it would have helped his confidence, in their big games.
If Binnington can stay calm, keep his composure, not let any of the shenanigans get in the way of his game. Because I mean, you've seen he tends to get hot a lot, but I think he'll be fine. And the Blues. So
yeah. So this is mascots here. Winnipeg are airplanes, and the St. Louis are blues singers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a tough one to match up. So.
Yeah, it doesn't really go well together.
I'm going to say that the blues singers have been around longer than airplanes. So we're going to go with blues as the mascot there. All right, Dallas, Colorado, the series everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah, so obviously, by far the best series in the playoffs so far. This could easily be a Western Conference final.
Yeah.
So Stars are without star defenseman Miro Heiskanen. He's been out for the first game they announced, and he's been out since about mid-January.
Yeah.
And I think they announced that he will be back. He should be back after the first game. Yeah. They also are missing Tyler Seguin. Yeah. He's not the player he once was, but he still brings that veteran experience. He's won a cup before.
Definitely.
And I mean, we're talking about the Avalanche. They have top 2 out of the 3 best players in the world on their team.
Yeah.
They've won the cup within the past couple of years. And I mean, this series is I can't really pick right now, to be honest. Yeah. It has to be a coin flip.
You gotta pick
though. I'm gonna have to go because I would say before the series was announced, I thought the Stars were gonna go to the Cup. Yeah. But now that this is the series, I'm gonna have to go with the Avs.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have Landeskog back now. We'll see how he's doing.
Yeah.
It's just it's so hard to stop this Avs team in the playoffs.
It really is. So good. I agree.
And you cannot take penalties against them. They will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No question.
But at the same time, it could go the same way for the Stars. I mean, you still have Esa Lindell on defense. You have Wyatt Johnson, who's been so good this year. He's been scoring every game, it feels like. Robertson. So you still have scoring threats on both sides. This game's going to go to 7 games, but I'll take the Avs.
Yeah, I think I go with the Avs, and this is the same kind of thing that I'm worried about with Carolina. With Dallas, is that those are 2 teams. Even though Dallas has scored, Carolina is the 3rd leading scorer, like you said.
Yeah,
they kind of lack snipers, and it's like, and so they're getting goals from everybody, which is good. But you kind of need a sniper in the playoffs at times. It's like you need somebody who can like finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
I think why they went and got Rantanen originally.
What was that?
Which is why Carolina went and got Rantanen originally.
Yeah. Exactly. They don't have him anymore, which can maybe help the Stars, but
he'll help the Stars.
And there's only so much you can do when you're trying to stop 29-8.
Yeah,
so I'll take them 7. It'll be a 7-game series.
Yeah, I take that.
NHL will milk that one for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna have fun with that one.
Yeah.
So the mascots on this one is snow falling down a mountain, and the other is Cowboys essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah,
I'm going to say the snow takes over that because I don't know how many Cowboys are used to avalanches because they're usually in warmer weather places where they would be raising their herds. So yeah, I think an avalanche would take out a Cowboy pretty quickly. All right.
So was it announced yet though when Heiskanen's going to be back? Was it after the first game? Did they say?
Yeah, but when you think about it, this feels ridiculous. Like he's been out for such a long time, like you say. If he's not ready for game 1, like. I think they're just going to – I just don't think they want anybody to know when he's coming back, to be honest. I think that's the plan. Like, I think they want to – I think they will hold him out if they keep winning. Like, if Dallas wins game 1, they'll hold him out.
Yeah, they announced from 2 days ago, according to Daily Faceoff, he won't be there for the first game. And after that, it's unknown. So
yeah, I think that sounds to me like he's probably out, but they don't want anybody to know he's out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, after 6 months, why is one game, one day different than anything else? You know what I mean? That to me is like kind of a weird thing to do. All right. So finally, the final conference here, the final division, Vegas and the Wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, as we saw last night, the Wild, in a weird situation, clinched the playoffs where they're down. So they put Fleury in for his last game.
That was great.
Ended up tying it, right? Or winning with 30 seconds left.
They put Fleury in, and they didn't put Fleury until overtime, right? Isn't that what happened? I think.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of put their back against the walls and
all they needed was 1 point. So all they needed was the 1 point in regulation. So
that was it.
So once they got that point, they knew they were in. So that's why they put Fleury in.
I did not know that.
It's very confusing. I mean, you have to be like a calculator.
For some reason, I thought they just put him in.
Yeah.
What
they were trying to get like 575th win or something like that. Like he had five. It was his 575th win. He got the win because he went into a tie game.
Yes, and they just got Kaprizov back from injury, so he got a few games in before the playoffs. So he'll still gonna be a little rusty. Yeah. And they have Zeev Boyum now, top defensive prospect who just lost in the Frozen Four. Yeah. He's a stud. So maybe they'll put him and Faber together. I think that'd be really cool to watch.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
They're both very good young American defensemen.
They played together before in junior.
I just think the Knights are too good. They've been here every year, basically. They have the talent. I'll go Knights, Knights and 5. Gentlemen's sweep.
The only thing I'm getting
maybe a sweep, honestly.
The goalies in this situation do favor Minnesota a little bit. But that's the only thing I think that favors Minnesota. Like I think that I'm not a huge fan of the Knights goalies.
That's why I think in 5.
Yeah, 5 is probably a good pick.
Probably still one at home for sure.
So this mascot is this mascot. So you have armored Knights versus the ambiguous Wild, which I can never figure out what that is or what that means or what that mascot really is. So I'm gonna go with the Vegas Knights on that one.
Yeah, I don't think Minnesota's gonna. They've been fine this year. I mean, they were without their best player, but it's Vegas. They're
they went up and down. There were times when they were great. There were times when they weren't great. Minnesota has not done well in the playoffs.
They haven't. They usually are out in the first or second round. Usually.
Yeah. So that brings us to the final one, which is which we saw a preview of a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
With Quinn Hudson playing. Quinn Hudson playing for the Edmonton Oilers too. By the way, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was cool to see.
So LA and Edmonton.
So the Kings were probably the better overall team this year.
Yeah.
And actually, this is their 4th straight year playing against each other in the first round, which is pretty funny. And I think Draisaitl is a little banged up still.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's going to play still. He played banged up last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have the 2 best players in the world on your team, and they lost in the cup last year. They came back. McDavid wants his revenge. But like it's the same kind of Oilers team, They have the really good offensive talent. Defense, they have Bouchard, and I mean Nurse is he's not that good.
I'm with you. He's very overrated. He gets paid way too much
money.
Yeah.
And then same with the goaltending, like
I'm totally against Skinner. I think Skinner's a really, really good player. Yeah.
He's like whatever. So it's the same things that's McDavid though. So we'll take Oilers and 7.
Yeah, all right.
But don't be surprised if the Kings win the series. I think they're a more complete team. But I just think it's Connor McDavid. Like
that is the thing, right? At the end of the day,
he's the best athlete in the world, and he's going to try to find a way for his team to go all the way.
He doesn't have as much depth behind him as he had last year.
If he wants to be considered the most talented player or the best player ever, he needs to win a championship.
He does.
And so I'll take the Warriors 7. But.
And here's the thing: if they get eliminated for some reason, the Kings take them out in 4 or 5, just because of maybe the injuries or whatever. If that happens, the pressure will be on. Like, is McDavid going to stay in Edmonton for his whole career? Honestly, because this is a backward step. How they've been moving forward.
Yeah, I think that if they don't win the cup this year or maybe next year, when's his contract over?
He's I can find out for you, but he's a few years off still, but not that far off as I remember.
Let's see who for this series.
People in the chat room, if you know when the contract's over.
Oilers are minus 140, and the Kings are plus 115. So, it's a decent gap for sure.
Yeah.
Oilers are going to get the first 2 home games, so they need to come out really, really hot. So
Yeah, they do.
Here's two.
They definitely do. Let's look at it.
I'll take the Oilers.
McDavid is signed through just next year.
So next year's his last year. So
this summer they could actually extend them.
Yeah, this is
extend them this summer.
Kind of now or never for them.
Yeah, I just think that I don't think that they've set up a team right around him at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've maybe had the offensive help that he's needed, but the overall team aspect, I don't think they have.
But the biggest issue to me is that they have to kind of play Draisaitl and McDavid together, which is like kind of they shouldn't have to do that.
And is Evander Kane still out?
He said he wanted to come back, but I think he's still out. And I think if he comes back, if he comes back, what will he be? Because he's definitely had like his issues, right?
Yeah,
injury wise.
We've seen him play with McDavid in the playoffs.
And Zach Hyman's playing better. He was awful in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and didn't the Oilers just pick up Trent Frederick?
Yeah, they did. They picked up Trent Frederick. Yeah, he also got hurt.
I think he got hurt though.
He got hurt in his first game. I'm not sure how serious that is exactly. But
okay. I was gonna say, like, he is a very similar game to Kane. So
yeah,
I mean, we'll see if they both come back then. So
yeah, I mean that'll give like losing Holloway, losing guys that lost to St. Louis definitely affected them.
Yeah, Kane hasn't played in 10 months. So
yeah, I think and what was kind of ticking off the Edmonton Oilers about it was he for them to go and make a trade at the deadline, they would have had to have his money for sure off for the rest of the season. But he kept saying that he was going to be back before the end of the season, and we kept. I mean, they didn't believe he was because that the health wasn't there. And at that point, he'd be back for 2 or 3 games this season. Why not just rest up, be ready for the playoffs, and be able to use that salary cap money at the trade deadline?
Yeah, that's right.
And he didn't let them do that, and I think the Oilers were really ticked off about that. Because some, a lot of teams like Matthew Tkachuk let the Florida Panthers do that, and they got Brad Marchand.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's sort of how it goes, right?
They have him still too, so he brings that enough grit. I still think Lightning are winning that one. So
yeah, all right. So I'm going to say I'm not going to give my prediction on Friday, like I said. So mine are very different than yours. It'll be fun to like get them out there. But the thing here is so we're talking about royalty versus people who oil mongers.
Yeah.
So
pretty obvious then.
Yeah, I think in general, like the royalty controls the oil, in most countries of the world. So yeah, I would say this is the Kings right away there. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Luke.
Yeah, I had a great time doing this. I'm excited to see how the playoffs are going to unfold, and that's gonna be great.
Absolutely. We'll have you back next week, same time. And and we'll also, look for some articles by Luke in the near future too. Remember, without the buzz, folks, it's just hockey. We will talk to you soon. Here's the uncomfortable time when we end the podcast, but it doesn't end yet.